Hello everyone, this is Muhammad from Python Ninja YouTube channel, and today we will learn together user input in Python. The user input in Python is described by using a built-in function which is input that allows the program or allow you to take an input during the program runtime. So it is also used to prompt or to direct the user to enter some value to continue execution the program. And the program here or the code or the demo will wait until inserting this variable to continue executing the other line of code. So to accept any user input from outside, we use this syntax input. Then we have two rounded brackets, and inside this, the rounded brackets, we can insert the prompt. Let us clarify this more. So I can say input, and inside this input, I can say, for example, enter your name. So if I execute this line of code, I have to press to this run button, or I can like press Shift plus F10
Hello
to
everyone,
make
this
it
is
like
Mohanad from
more
Python Ninja YouTube channel, and
friendly.
today
So I
we will
use this
learn together typecasting in
to
Python.
execute the code. So I press Shift and F10. That will like facilitate the execution for me. And I run this line of code, and I have in the run terminal that I have to insert the input. What I have to do, I just insert, for example, or I can insert anything. So the name here is Muhammad. Also, I can insert whatever I want. It will be executed since there is no limitations or no condition to restrict the input. Now, professionally, we can store this input in a variable. For example, I can introduce variable. This variable I can name it like name or whatever I want. Then the name will be stored here, and I can print this name later. Okay, for example, I have to stop the execution now and re-execute it again. For example, I want to insert Ali, and Ali is also printed. I can also have not only a string input, I can have, for example, integer. For example, I will introduce age variable, and this age variable will be input. Enter sorry, it should be between two quotations. Enter your enter your age. So when I execute this, it will accept the age. For example, let us execute this. We can do the age 35. It is executed. But if I run this again and I insert the age, for example, Mohammad, which is incorrect, it will also execute. Why? Because I left the restriction here for the variable. I want to make this age a variable as integer. So I can say age equal integer, okay, of the above variable, which is the same. Okay, so now I have to insert any value, any integer value. But if I want to insert, for example, Muhammad as a value of this variable, it will not be executed, and it will be like value error because it will not be printed. So it will accept this here, and at the time of casting or changing the data types, please go to the previous tutorial to know more about what I'm talking about, which is typecasting. And here we have to be careful that when we restrict integer, we have to follow the integer. And there is a possibility to eliminate one line of code instead of adding a new line to cast. We can do casting at the runtime. For example, I can say integer here and integer of the input, and this will be casted as an integer. For example, I do not need much line of codes, so the simple code the best for production. If I want to also print the type, so it will show to me that this type is integer, so I can do what operations could be applied to this integer variable. So I showed to you how can you take like a string input. Here we showed how can be also consider integer input, and I can use a float. For example, um, this is the variable weight, and usually weight is not integer. Okay, usually weight expressed in the float weight, and for example prices. These are like float representations. I can say float of input, and I can say here enter your weight, and yeah, and I can print the type of this weight, and it will print it as a float since I'm casted this weight variable at the runtime y35. I don't escape like 39.54. So it is a float. Also, one of the application of the user input is to insert your username and password for any login application in the web applications or in security access applications or in access controls or where the username and password are applied for login. For example, I can say here username equal input. I can also insert here enter your name, enter your user name, for example, like this, and enter your username, and I prefer to make it like one word here, and please keep space after the colon just to not to concatenate what you will insert with this user. And for the password, I can say input here, enter your password, and the same. When we execute this, we now enter the username, for example, MOH, and we enter here the password 1233, and we execute this. But it is not usually practice to enter the username and then enter and visualize the password. Most of the security applications or login application use like or try to hide the password while access. For that, we will use a Python module. Again, the Python module is nothing but a Python file integrated within the Python. It is a built-in, and this contain a set of variables and functions that is used during or when we develop a new application or a new code. One of these modules that is inserted during the Python installation time is called getPass. It is only for the password and for security applications. So we can say from get pass import, which is the module import. Okay, get pass. This get pass is the same as the input, but it is used to for password to hide the password. For example, I can say here again username equal input, and I can say enter your username. Okay, and for the password I can say here get pass, or instead of input we say get pass, and I can say your you enter your password here. But remember one thing, that we cannot run this by using this run scenario. So I want to enter MOHA as my username, but we can notice that it will go to infinite execution when we insert after inserting the username. Thus, for this get pass, we have to run the code using the command line argument, or where the terminal is used. For the byte charm, to run this, we go down, look where the cursor is, we have the terminal, press in the terminal, or if you use an external terminal, for example, if you use if you use the bash terminal, and then you can use any of these terminal to run the code. Okay, so this terminal and the by charm, be ensured that the cursor is located to the same directory of your project. For example, if I open here this project, I am on the D in the Python tutorial. Here I'm in the D and the Python tutorial to the same path of main.py, which is the same file. How can I execute this file? Okay, or this Python file, I can execute this like Python. So I only need to insert Python as an argument. Then I can say the name of the file. Here, the name of this file we type on is called main.py. So if you just type ma and then press tab, it will give you auto completion, or you can complete it by yourself. Press enter, then you will have the username request. You can type the name, for example, moh as a username, and now you will have the password request, and you give yourself the freedom to insert what the password is. So 1 2 3 4 5, and you can see this is like Linux, it hide the password even, and now yeah, has been executed. That's for today. For the next tutorials, we will give more and more about the function and the modules, and how can we build our own module. But for the next module, I will not introduce a new thing or a new a new a new subject in Python programming, but I will introduce a new tutorial to you, which contains some examples and exercises that will review the first tutorials that we learn together, and that is important keep you to keep you like refreshed and remember what we learned together. Thank you. Please share this video as much as you can, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel for a charity.